Welcome back to the Inner Circle Show. In today's episode, Tesla's Cybertruck is winning, analysts are speaking out, and Palantir have made a couple of exciting announcements. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to let you guys know that this episode officially marks the end of season 1 of the Inner Circle Show. I've actually been called to jury service starting next week, so I can't actually commit to a daily show during my jury service period, but I thought this ties in quite nicely with actually having the Inner Circle Show in seasons. So every 4 weeks I'll take a week off, and during that week I will basically be trying to make improvements to the show, reading feedback, making new workshops and things like that. So do let me know what you've been enjoying about this show and any feedback that you have, so I can take all of that into consideration and make this as good as it can be. But as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you do not miss an upload Monday through Friday. Tesla's Cybertruck was the #1 best-selling EV pickup truck in Q2 in America, outselling the Ford 150 Lightning. I think this is quite a big deal, and it shows that the Tesla Cybertruck is actually in demand. Now, of course, we need to see a couple of things happen. We need to see that the Tesla Cybertruck remains as the best-selling EV pickup truck for many more quarters to come. And we also need to eventually see that it becomes maybe the best pickup truck in America, even, in other places as well, the best-selling pickup truck, period. EV or non-EV, just like the Model Y Tesla vehicle was able to achieve. But still, this is a great sign. The Cybertruck was obviously quite a novel product. It gained a lot of attention. Some people were saying this is really cool when it was first coming out. Some people were saying it's hideous and it will never actually gain any market share. But it truly doesn't look like anything else. It really is one of a kind. It's gaining lots and lots of attention. Celebrities are absolutely loving it. They are not even being paid to endorse it. They are happily buying them, taking pictures of them, sharing them with their, massive audience. We are seeing that even continue now, even though the Cybertruck, launched a little while ago. So then we have to ask ourselves, well, is it just getting attention and is it just getting sales because it is new and people are interested right now? There's a bit of a hype around it and that will die down. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think although it is a very cool, very unique looking vehicle, I think it's much, much more than that. I think that it's a very useful vehicle. I think that it was made with certain characteristics that make it an excellent pickup truck for work, not just for show. And I think it will continue to do well. We've also recently had the delivery numbers come in, and they were pretty good. And it seems like that alone has been the catalyst that has been able to actually trigger Tesla stock to move upwards very quickly, very fast. Do I think that the Tesla delivery numbers should have made the stock move so quickly and so fast? No, I don't. I think it was completely blown out of proportion, actually. I think there's been many things that have come before this announcement this year that have been way more exciting, way more impactful, and a much bigger deal that the market has just completely ignored. But, this is the way it works. And I guess it is kind of nice to look at my portfolio and see that actually my Tesla position is doing significantly better than it has been for a very long time. And this has actually managed to reverse a year of losses in the stock in a very short space of time. I did see an interview on CNBC from Tom from RBC Capital, who is an analyst we have spoken about quite recently. Now, I do want to watch this interview and react to it because I think that it will be quite interesting. The title of the interview is Tesla Deliveries Are Being Overanalyzed by Investors. And I do kind of agree with that, so I want to see what else he says. And yeah, let me just play this now and I'll react as we go.
Obviously below where we are right now, and you recently reduced your price target just a couple weeks back based on lowered robotaxi assumptions. How much of the 227 at this point is robotaxi? And I guess you're not expecting much out of the 8.8 event.
Well, it's about 52% of my valuation is robotaxi. Dropped it from about 70%. Look, the stock has run up quite a bit past week or so. This tends to happen with the stock. I doubt a lot of the investors who are pushing the stock up are doing all the rigorous math that I've done. So maybe it's run a little much. I think the delivery number is something that folks are maybe over-analyzing. This is really an autonomy play. August 8th.
Just to stop him there quickly, I actually agree with him. I do think that the delivery numbers have been over-analyzed. People are caring about them a little bit too much, in my opinion. He's right, this is more of an autonomy play. There's much more to think about with Tesla and Tesla's future than just 1 quarter of decent delivery numbers. Yes, they were pretty good compared to what everyone was expecting. They beat the general consensus on estimates. That is great, but it doesn't really matter. Two reasons why. Number one, this is just 1/4 of delivery numbers that came in slightly above estimates. And does that really warrant the stock going up by so much in a short period of time? Like, I'm very bullish on this position, but I think it was a little bit of an over-exaggeration because it's just 1/4. 1/4 doesn't really matter in terms of EV sales. And the reason for that is because the industry is very cyclical. It's very dependent on the macroeconomic situation. Sometimes the sales in the automotive industry will just be lower because of what's going on. People haven't got the extra funds to fund high-ticketed items. That happens. It's completely normal. Sometimes they will be higher because the economy is better, because of other situations are happening. Again, supply chains feed into this, and that is okay. So I think what's more important than just 1/4 is actually the general overall trend that we tend to see. So many quarters we look at in combination with each other. But also, again, the EV portion, how many EVs are being delivered, being sold from Tesla in a given quarter, even overall, looking at the trend, again, isn't that significant in the long term. Why is it not? Well, because Tesla's shifting. The EV sale will become less and less and less significant over time. And when he says that it's an autonomy play, I do agree. I think very quickly we'll see the energy segment take over the EV sales, and then we'll see those two absolutely dwarfed by robotaxi. And then again, it will happen with Optimus. That's just my opinion.
I think it's important kind of from a conceptual point of view. You're going to get people like me write these long, flowery reports, but you're not going to get meaningful financial contribution from a robotaxi for a long while. So, yeah, I think we're caught between these two waves of growth. Not sure how much near-term upside is there in the stock, but I do like it.
I do actually think we are in a period of being in limbo between the growth phases. I do agree with that. I think we are coming out of, let's just call it, the automotive phase, and we are quickly moving into the phase of, let's say, autonomy. That is the shift that Tesla's making. I've been speaking about this transformational shift that we are seeing for quite a while now, and that is happening. Now, he says, what does he say there? That he doesn't think that it's going to show up straight away. Yes, I agree. I don't think the robotaxi money, if you will show up in the numbers, in earnings straight away. We're not going to see it instantly. It's a lagging indicator, and also it needs to become a successful thing first. But I mean, I don't really know what timeline he's looking at. He's obviously reduced the portion that he's given to robotaxi, so he's thinking maybe, they're having less market share, or it's going to take longer than he originally expected. I do think it won't show up straight away, but I also don't think it's going to take years and years and years. I think it will actually surprise a lot of people.
When you said that, others may not do the rigorous analysis, what are you basing this rigorous analysis on? I mean, a lot of other analysts who are pointedly bearish on the stock will say that we've gotten no details on what robotaxi will be or what it might mean for the company. So how do you then plug that into a model which is so fine that you can go from a $600 billion valuation plus to 400 something?
I think the way to approach this, one, do a top-down look, right? You say, do you believe in robotaxis? Yes. Okay. What is the market size for this? It is enormous. Okay. Then you try to be as conservative as possible. Say, what is the minimal amount of market share I think Tesla could get realistically? I give them 20% market share in the U.S.
Market share of what? What is the total addressable?
So he's given Tesla Robotaxi 20% market share in the US. He did say that that's a conservative opinion. So let's just say he thinks 25%. I actually think they will gain significantly more than 20%. And I think the reasons are quite simple. I think they'll be able to utilize their manufacturing abilities, their economies of scale, all of this stuff to basically undercut the price that they can offer a robotaxi service to the public than any other company.
That total addressable market.
Which is everybody in the world who wants to ride a car?
No, it's a robotaxi market where I haircut and I do substitution of private car ownership, only people in cities, housing dynamic. There's a lot of work, yeah. And so you do that math and you come out to a pretty conservative. Actually, the reason why I cut from 600 to 400 billion is because I lowered my pricing assumption with the help of our internet analyst, and I raised the amount that companies like Uber and Lyft are going to get from that relationship because I was underestimating the value from those app providers.
I'm interested in your take on how far ahead of the curve they are on robo-taxis in terms of innovation, because clearly they were ahead of the curve on EVs, but pretty much everyone's caught up with them now, and some Chinese players like BYD can deliver EVs at a much lower cost. So
wait, what? So I think you said in terms of innovation, they were ahead of the curve, but now everyone else has caught up with them. Everyone's caught up with Tesla, even in terms of just EV sales. Let's forget the technology, let's forget innovation and just look at EV sales. No, Tesla are the only company within the US that are making money on their EVs. Everyone else is losing significant amounts of money. They are also selling a lot more vehicles than a lot of other companies. They still have the Model Y, the best-selling vehicle, EV or non-EV. They are doing very, very well. There are other companies in China that are making money on their EVs as well. Let's take BYD for as an example, like he said. But they're not making anywhere near as much money as Tesla are. And actually, Tesla are still doing well in the Chinese market and globally. So I think that is, it doesn't really make sense, that statement at all. But this is what we keep hearing time and time again. All these other companies are in higher demand. They're doing better. They're making more money. You know, Tesla's going to basically die off. But when you actually look at the data and you look at the facts, that's not what's happening.
So could the same thing apply on robo-taxis, at least this time, even before it's become widespread and adopted?
No, I don't think so. And the reason, again, I state is because Tesla have an advantage, a key advantage with data, with training, with the compute power, with the ability to mass manufacture, which is key, the ability to be able to have a price that is very, very appealing that others aren't going to be able to have. There's all these different things that Tesla have been working on and getting ready because they know that that will give them the upper hand. There will be other options, I think. I don't think it's going to be a Tesla take the whole market, robo-taxi wise. Maybe even Uber and some other companies will survive. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be a case of they are going to struggle getting market share.
Yeah, that's why I did this approach where I looked at the entire ecosystem. There's a lot of players that are going to play in this, right? It's like really three parts. It's the car, it's the software, it's the app. There are going to be a lot of OEMs that are going to make the car. There are going to be a lot of companies that will do the software. In terms of them specifically, I do think FSD version 12 was a break.
Just stopping it there, actually, because he's just triggered me to think about something else. I kind of think about this from the opposite direction than he does. In terms of software, in terms of autonomy, like I just said, Tesla has a data advantage. Even if all the other companies start now and try and replicate FSD, they are going to be a long, long way behind, which means what are they going to do? They have a couple of options. They acquire another company, who again, I would argue aren't anywhere close to Tesla. They just give up on having an autonomous robotaxi fleet, which wouldn't be competitive. They go down the route of maybe LiDAR technology and cameras and go down that sort of thing. Not great for scaling, not the best technique to take. Or number 4, they license FSD from Tesla, which again benefits Tesla, benefits us. So yeah, I do think that it's going to be difficult to compete now.
Was a breakthrough event. I mean, Elon's completely pivoted the company from not only from a headcount perspective, but in terms of pushing out the next-gen facility, now unveiling the robotaxi on August 8th. It is a game changer, and they do have the most miles on the road thanks to autopilot, the biggest fleet of cars on the road. There are a couple other companies, obviously. Mobileye is a good notable one. Obviously, GM and Waymo are. So there are going to be a lot of players in the ecosystem. All I'm saying is they will have a big seat at the table. And like I said, 20% market share for their walled garden, I don't think that's unreasonable. And only 7 to 8% in Europe and China. It's because the overall TAM is so big. It's in the trillions of dollars. I'm only saying they're going to get 400 billion of this enormous game-changing market.
You say, I mean, the stock has almost erased all of its losses for the year. You said earlier those who are sending it up perhaps now are not doing the rigorous math you do. But has that ever been the case that they do the rigorous math? And when, if any, does it actually matter?
It doesn't. You're absolutely right. You have to do this like second derivative thinking with the stock, right? I think what's important to take away from yesterday is not necessarily the stock price, but it's the fact that people are capitulating on giving up on it, right? People want to be constructive on it. that's a signal to me that people are coming around to the robotaxi argument. You know, I've been coming on CNBC for over a year talking about robotaxis. If you look at the YouTube clips and the comments, it's been, this guy's crazy, his shirt is ugly, like 6 months ago. Look at my recent commentary on YouTube. My mom loves it. It's more positive. So I think there is a sentiment shift, getting more constructive on this as a reality, not just me with my tinfoil hat on talking about science fiction. So I think people are getting more realistic. I see that as a translation of the stock move, not really that deliveries mean something significant. Cars is only less than 10% of the value of my price target.
What about robots?
I don't value that. It could be something, but I'm looking only at the businesses that they're actually going to do something with, that I believe they can. And there's something we didn't even talk about, megapacks, energy storage.
Right.
There's something that came out yesterday,
yes.
9.4
record deployment.
I mean, gigawatt hours.
Yeah.
Last year, the entire globe, 100. They did that 9 in 1 quarter. They were 15% of the market last year. They're gaining market share. This thing is growing by like 80% this year. It's actually worth more than my car business as well. I don't think many people are talking about energy storage either.
I do think he has a point there. I think people are starting to believe that this is actually more realistic as time goes on, and that actually this shift may happen, you know, with autonomy, with robo-taxis. I also agree that energy should not be ignored. It is growing very, very rapidly, really, really high demand, and it's higher margins than the energy, than the EV business. Do not sleep on energy, honestly. It's going to be big, and it's going to be much bigger than the EV portion, but much smaller than Robotaxi and Optimus. He said there that he's not really paying attention to robotics, to Optimus at the moment, because he's focusing on things that are actually going to be, I don't know, playing a role, or I forgot the words he said. I disagree there. I think we are very much seeing the evidence that Optimus will be a big thing, and it's, again, going to happen sooner than we think, especially changing Tesla's top and bottom line in the maybe shorter term. But then we move on to other factories. We move on to renting them, leasing them. I'm going to link a video I recently made on Optimus actually on the screen now. Definitely give that a watch and let me know what you think. So with all of that Tesla information, do let me know what you think about it in the comments below. We have had 2 quite exciting Palantir announcements, so let's jump into the first. The first piece of news is that Alex Karp will be releasing his own book, which you don't really see many CEOs of big companies doing. So this is very exciting. Hopefully this will give us an insight even more into the way that he thinks. Now, this was posted by Arnie over on X, so let's just give this a read. CEO Karp and Head of Corporate Affairs Nicholas will release the new book, so a joint effort. It's going to be The Technological Republic. The book will deliver a searing critique of Silicon Valley's failure to come to the defense of the nation that made its rise possible. The USA is vulnerable to new challenges, including AI. Tech leaders are in the backseat, only focused on online shopping and social media. It will also include precious insight into Palantir. Release date the 18th of February 2025. Let me know if you are planning to get this book and actually give it a read. I know I will be. I'm very interested in understanding the way that CEOs of companies I invest into actually think about problems, think about the world, because all of that ultimately feeds into how they are running the company, which then matters to me as an investor into the company. Particularly interested to hear about the challenges such as AI, of course. Palantir are, you know, they have a big product called AIP. That's important. The world is changing to become more and more integrated with artificial intelligence. And it's interesting that tech leaders are in the backseat, only focused on online shopping and social media. I do agree with that. I think there are a couple of tech leaders, Elon Musk and Alex Karp being 2 of those, that are really thinking about the responsibility of AI and how to integrate that to actually make real world changes and make positive impacts, rather than just quickly increasing the business revenue and that being okay. The next one is actually really exciting, and that is that Palantir are offering the ability for people to try out Foundry and AIP. Let's take a look. So Mars Catalog on X, who is a voice mainly in the Tesla community, but was actually given an in-person demo on Monday, I think, by Palantir, posted this. I've always thought of Palantir as something that you have to be a massive corporation or major world government to buy. But with their new AIP tool, you can just ... sign up. I'm signing up to check it out now after the demo they gave me on Monday at their offices. He was quite impressed by Palantir after he actually in person saw what AIP could do as far as I'm aware. It's really cool that Palantir are getting themselves really integrated and making relationships and talking to people online that, are in the tech community. Very, very cool. And Holmar's catalog, I think, does a wonderful job on Tesla. So interested to see if he integrates himself more into Palantir now, the world of Palantir. And then Chad responded, who actually works at Palantir. You definitely follow him if you haven't already. He is a forward deployed architect. And he said, to sign up, it's free with our new dev tier to try out AIP. And I think a lot of people were a little bit confused about this. Is the new dev tier the same as AIP now? Tier launched in May, just renamed. And then he came on to say, it's new. I was going to do an official launch of it next week, but why not right here, right now? We have removed the $500 credit and 30-day trial period. Now it is just free in perpetuity, so free forever. We want folks to be able to enjoy the full power of Foundry and AIP without worrying if it will suddenly shut you off when you've hit your usage limit. You can use this to build your workflows and even test them in production. There are limits. You can see the latest Your Plan page, but we encourage you to reach out with questions on this. Now, everyone can be an AI engineer. Sign up for your account and do our E2E, enterprise to enterprise, I'm guessing, speed run, and have your first use case operational in an hour. Get support from our team or ask and answer in our new developer community. You can add 5 people to your stack and have a limit of 50 ontology object types. So this is quite cool. They have now introduced a new tier that removes previous monetary and usage limits so that anyone, you don't even have to be a software engineer or anything like that, can go on and actually try this out for themselves. And when I say try this out, I mean the capabilities of Foundry and AIP. So like he said, there are some limits. So if you want to remove some of them limits, I think that clients will have to upgrade to a different tier, a different license to actually carry on unlocking the full power of AIP. But this is really, really cool because this again feeds into this whole philosophy that Palantir have of show, not tell. Show people the value, don't just tell them. They do this so well already with AIP bootcamps and AIP cons, and I see this as just another addition to that. Right now, I believe this is only available in selected regions, but they are looking to expand in the future. But I really like this because they are really lowering the barrier to entry and actually making the awareness even higher with Palantir and with AIP especially, because they have made this where you don't actually need hard coding skills to get involved. As far as I'm aware, it's very low code, if not no code. And I also really like the push that they are making early on to actually build a really, really strong and widespread developer community. I'm hoping this approach and this strategy will help raise more awareness towards Palantir, and that will then lead on to even more customers, which will eventually become paying customers, and so on and so forth. Do let me know if you'll be signing up to that and what you think about all of this in the comments below. Now, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone that has been watching the Inner Circle shows over the last month and have been enjoying them, commenting, liking them, or even if you've just been watching in quiet and, you've been enjoying the information that I have to share. I really do appreciate it. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I've been really, really enjoying doing these. Season 2 will be returning very soon, and I'm incredibly excited for that. Like I said, next week I'm on jury service, so there will be no show, but do remember that a podcast episode will be coming out on this channel on Sunday as normal. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the start of season 2. If you want to watch these episodes ad-free, get exclusive and extended content and a bunch of other perks, become an insider of the Inner Circle Vault. Link in the description.